If you're trying to learn to get a crispy mix for your vocals inside of FL Studio, then this video is for you.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. Baby, paying off the debts, that was her fault. I was laying in regrets, it was terminal. Another blank sheet, but I said it all.
So yeah, as I just said in this video, I'm going to teach you how to mix your vocals so they can sound super crispy, and we're going to be working inside of FL Studio. But if you're working in any other sort of DAW, such as Pro Tools or Logic or anything like that, you can take the same principles that I talk about within this video and transfer them over to that DAW, and you should be just fine. And make sure you stay till the end of the video because I have a very important tip that will take your vocals to the next level. But anyways, without further ado, let's get right into this video. Okay, so right here, I'm just going to go through the mix and show you exactly what I did for this song. But we're going to be specifically focusing on the types of techniques I use to get the vocals to sound a little bit more crispy. So yeah, let's get it. So to start any vocal mix at all, we're going to need the raw vocal recording. So this is what mine sounds like.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. Baby, paying off the debts, that was her fault. I was laying in regrets, it was terminal. Another blank sheet, but I said it all.
Okay, so there's the raw vocal as you can hear, and that was recorded to track 4. So what I did down here was I routed track 4 to track 5 only. And how I do that is I select the recording track right here. So click on it and then go down here to the little arrow on under track 5 right here, and then right click it and say route to this track only. So having the recording track and the mix track separate will allow you to keep the effects you add and the raw recording independent from one another, and it makes it easier to tweak it exactly how you want it. But yeah, the main mix is going to be on the effects track. So as you can see, these are all the plugins that I added. The first one being the stock FL auto-tune plugin right here. It's called Pitcher. So here are my auto-tune settings right here. I have the retune speed up a little bit above medium right there. And then for the actual pitch correction part right here, just put in the key of the beat in the auto-tune plugin right here. So mine is A sharp major, and it will correct the notes to sound good within the song. So here's what it sounds like with the beat.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. Baby, paying off the debts, that was her fault.
So as you can see with the relatively low retune speed right there, I like my vocals to sound a little bit more human-like. So not all the way fast and robotic. I just like it right in between, a little bit above medium right there. That's going to be a good retune speed for me. So yeah, that's all I did for the auto-tune right there. And then next is we added the EQ. Now this plugin is going to be super important in every single mix, but especially in getting those crispy vocals, because we can use this to really bring out the clarity in the vocal. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So if you're going to watch any part of this video, this is the part to watch. So the first thing I did with this EQ was I did a high pass on the far left knob right here. So how to do that is you right click on it, go to type, and then high pass. And then for the order, I did the steep 6. That just makes it more of a steep cutoff at the bottom right here. But yeah, why I did this is I wanted to cut out those low and kind of unwanted noises in the low end of the vocal. So how I did this was I played the vocal by itself, and then I dragged the far left knob that we created the high pass on. I drag it until I cut out the right amount of low end that I want.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal.
So if I do it like this much right here,
Singing this shit straight out of the journal.
you're going to hear that it cuts out way too much low end right there, and you lose all the volume of the vocal. So just find the sweet spot. It's probably going to be right
I'm
around.
singing this shit straight out of the journal. Baby, paying off the debts, that was her fault.
You can see those frequencies right here start to come in right there. So that's kind of where I'm going to put it. So yeah, that's how you do the high pass. And then moving on to the middle of the vocal. For my voice specifically, most of those unwanted frequencies that I get coming through are in the low mid to mid areas right here. It might be a little bit different for you because everybody has a different voice and everybody has a different microphone. But this is just how it is for my specific setup. So I'm going to show you a technique that you can use to find the frequencies with any voice and any microphone. So for this section, it's really just cleaning up the vocal right here. But what I did was I dragged up on one of the knobs right here and then made it super skinny like that. And how you do that is just scroll down on the scroll wheel. But yeah, then what I do is I play the vocal again and I drag through and listen for those frequencies that I just don't like.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. Baby, paying off the debts, that was her fault. I was like.
So as you can hear, we get that kind of boxy tone right there that I just really don't like in the vocal. So I'm going to drag it down and cut it out probably to about this much. The same as these other ones right here. And then for these other two knobs, I do the exact same process. But yeah, make sure you don't copy this exact EQ, because if you do, it might not sound exactly the same. You're going to have to kind of go through and find those frequencies yourself, because as I said before, everybody has a different voice and everybody has a different microphone. So it's going to be different for everybody. But yeah, just use that technique and you should find those frequencies that you can clean up. Now, once we get to the high end right here, this is the most important part for getting those crispy vocals right here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take this far right knob right here. I like to boost it around 2K and then all the way up in the treble right here. And then you can do the same technique like you did with the high pass and finding those bad frequencies. You can play the vocal by itself and then boost this until it sounds good.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal.
As you hear, if I boost it too much like that, you're going to get a lot of high end that's just not needed right there. But you definitely want to boost this a little bit because it's going to get that crispiness and the clarity within the vocal.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. It be paying off the debts that was her fault.
Okay, so right there, as you can see, I boosted it only just a little bit, but we did gain a lot of clarity and crispiness within that vocal, and that's exactly what we're going for. And then after boosting the high end, there were some frequencies I boosted that I didn't like. So I did the same technique over here in the high end as I did in the middle. I just swept through and find the frequencies that I didn't like, as you can hear right here.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal.
That sounds super harsh and hard to listen to, so I dragged that out right there and then cut it out. And yeah, that's really all I do for my EQs, but especially follow this when trying to get those crispy vocals because you are going to want to boost the high end a little bit to get that clarity. Now moving on to the compressor right here, these are my compression settings, pretty simple. Ratio at 3:1, threshold negative 18.1, and how I do my thresholds is I just turn it down until I start to hear the compressor acting on the vocal. So how I do that is I just play the vocal by itself and then turn the compressor down like this.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. It be paying off the debts that was her fault. I was laying in with...
So I start to hear it affect the vocal. Yeah, again, at about negative 18.7 decibels right there. And then for this specific compressor plugin within FL Studio, I have the type of compression on vintage right there. And then those are my attack and release settings, relatively low because I don't want it to hold onto the vocal for too long. And then moving on, just a little balancing EQ. This isn't going to be that important for the crispy vocals right here. This is just taking out some more frequencies that I didn't like. Maximus and a limiter. I usually use these on every one of my mixes. Again, not super important for the crispiness of the vocal. The limiter is just going to take out some of the background noise and make your vocal a little bit cleaner. And then the Maximus is just used as a de-esser. So again, you're not really gaining any clarity or crispiness with this. It's just kind of taking away those harsh S sounds. But yeah, these are two pretty solid plugins to add to your mix just for balance changes. And then after all those plugins, I wanted to level out the vocal again with another compressor. So I did very similar settings right here. The only difference is I did the soft type compression because I kind of wanted to soften everything out after I added all those effects. And then I added 1 decibel gain to account for some of the gain that we lost when mixing, like EQ and compressing it. We're going to lose some volume, so I just added a little bit more volume right there. That's not going to make a big difference though when we go in because you're going to hear that the vocal is very quiet compared to the beat.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal.
See, you can barely even hear it, so we are going to get to that later. And then one last balancing EQ. Again, after adding all those plugins, you are going to come in with some frequencies that you don't like. So I cut some out right here, mostly in the high end. And then I did a little bit of a boost right there just to gain a little bit more crispiness and clarity. But yeah, the main 3 plugins that you're really going to focus on are the auto tune, the first EQ, and the first compressor. These are really going to be the most important when mixing any vocals, and especially for the crispy vocals, the EQ right here is going to be the most important. Now, after all those effects, this is what the vocal sounds like.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. It be paying off the debts that was her fault.
So as you can hear, the vocal is just still kind of quiet and you can't really hear that clarity in there. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I was talking about wanting to take your vocals to the next level, and this is the part that's really going to level it up right here. So the secret sauce to making those crispy, kind of clear vocals is parallel compression. So what I mean by that is I create another bus right here. This is going to be your parallel compression bus. So it's going to be on a separate track than the basic mix right here. And these are the plugins I added to it. Another compressor, but this compressor is going to be a lot different. So as you can see, the threshold is very crushed right here, about negative 29 decibels. The ratio is a bit higher at 7:1. And then the most important part, I boosted the gain 17 decibels. Now that is a lot, as you're going to hear, but this is why it's important, because we're turning up the volume of the vocal, but at the same time we're compressing it so it doesn't get distorted. And then these are my attack and release settings, and then compression type is soft, just so it kind of levels out the distortion a little bit. So this compressor right here is going to be the most important for the parallel compression bus. The rest of these are going to add some more crispiness. So the Sound Godizer, another stock FL plugin, this is kind of like a vocal enhancer. It brings out some of the punchiness and the clarity of the vocal. So I have it on the A setting at about 1/4 of the way up right there. And then the Fruity Chorus, this is just going to make it seem like there's more than one person kind of singing the vocal. It's going to make the vocal a little bit wider and fill up a little bit more of the song right here. So here are my settings for that. And then on the right here, I have this one turned down to about a little bit less than half right there, because if I play it all the way up, as you can hear, it's going to sound a little bit too robotic.
I'm singing this shit straight out.
So yeah, I just turned that down to a little bit below than half. And then the last one is a phaser. It just makes frequencies sweep from left to right and gives it kind of cool effect. But if you are going to use this, you want to make sure that you're going to turn it down, because again, it's going to sound a little bit weird if you have it turned all the way up. So how we're going to get this parallel compression onto the main mix right here is we're going to, again, select the main mix right here, go down to the arrow, and then just left click the arrow. Now that will route the main mix to the parallel bus, and we're going to be able to mix in the volume right here with this little toggle right here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to play the vocal with the beat this time, because you're going to be working with the levels of the beat and the vocals. So that's pretty important to have the beat playing while you're doing this. So I'm going to play it.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. It be paying out the debts that was her fault. I was laying in regrets, it was terminal. Another blank.
As you can hear, that parallel bus really adds that crispiness to the vocal, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So yeah, I'm liking the way this sounds. And then the last thing was I added a separate bus for the reverb right here. I just only have the reverb plugin on this one right here, no delay. And then I route the effects track again to the reverb just like that. And then I'm doing the exact same process right here, just turning the reverb up until I think it sounds good.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. It be paying out the debts that was her fault. I was laying in regrets, it was terminal. Another blank sheet, but I said it all.
Okay, so I think that sounds pretty good. So yeah, that is how you're going to get those crispy rap vocals that you've always wanted to achieve but never knew how. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please leave a like. And just your music in general, then you should check out my website where I have 3 available vocal presets. One is completely free, and it's the mix that I used in this video. It's called the Caleb James lead vocal preset. So yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, then you should check that out right after this video. I'll put it as the first link in the description. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I'm singing this shit straight out of the journal. It be paying out the debts